Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are going to do another review, one that I was kind of going back and forth on whether I wanted to do it or not. And there's just enough for me to talk about that I think I can hit the 10 minutes that is my goal for every review that I do. So, the movie that I watched tonight that I thought I had seen before, but apparently I have not. It is a film directed by Bruce Clark from 1981. I am not sure if I've seen any other movies by this director. I did not look. I should have, but this is the film produced by Roger Corman, Galaxy of Terror. So I actually enjoyed it just enough that I may watch the supplements because this movie is basically a ripoff of Alien. It is almost exactly the same, but without the technical mastery that is that film in regards to the cinematography, the effects, the atmosphere, everything. It's a lesser version for sure. I mean, Roger Corman did produce it, so shoestring budget is definitely what you should go in expecting. The effects are really noticeable in terms of, I wouldn't say cheapness, but just the lack of resources that they had to work with. And so, if you don't know what the plot of Alien is, it's basically, and of this movie, it's basically a crew of spaceship people. They're not really clear on what they're doing. The plot just kind of starts with them going to this planet, jumping into the spaceship on Earth, and then going to hyperspeed and just showing up at this weird planet that has these creatures that are not aliens, but are more like Lovecraftian entities, I guess. Creatures is kind of the best way to define them. But they get there. There's a lot of ancient civilization infrastructure and settings going on this planet, and the biggest, I guess, parallel to Alien is the fact that there's a very large structure that our crew has to go to for some reason. Um, they just show up to this temple, and because in the Alien film, I believe it's basically just a giant spaceship that they board, and that's the structure. But in this movie, it is just a giant pyramid that's in the middle of what looks like a past desert that is no longer really dry or anything like that. But it basically follows the exact same story of Alien, basically the rest of the movie. The ending is a little more, I guess, non derivative, is the best description to make. But what makes this movie a lot better than it actually is, or a lot better than it should have been, is the cast, for sure. Because we have Sid Haig, who is from the Rob Zombie House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell, which I still haven't seen and I don't think I will ever see because it just tears me up too much to see Sid Haig in his final role, basically on his hospital bed, is what I've heard about the film and his performance. So I don't know if I'll ever watch that. But Sid Haig is in this film, and again, this is 1981. He is definitely an established actor by this point. He was in many blaxploitation films from the 1970s. Mainly, his most popular one is, of course, Coffee and Foxy Brown, I believe. And we also have Grace Zabriskie, who, if you don't know who she was Laura Palmer's mom in Twin Peaks. So, another great cast member that really elevates the material a lot in this film. And lastly, we have a very early acting role by the actor who plays um, Freddy. I had to remember Robert Englund. So Robert Englund is in this film. He plays a doctor who does a lot of autopsies on the creatures that we see in the film, and he eventually joins the crew going to this temple. And he gets into a big fight with himself because there's a shadow, weird mirror version of him attacking him. And so this movie is riddled with very slow moments that don't really move all that fast. But when it comes to the actual attack scenes with the creatures, it is so much better than what it deserves to be. There's, of course, the very famous one that we see on the front here with this weird slug creature eating this woman. And it looks like a reverse birthing scene. It's really kind of disgusting, and the sound design in that scene is full of slurping and squelching and just nasty, nasty sounds. And we have another scene, I think it's our first attack scene, where we see basically the android character from Alien. He is being attacked. Actually, it's not him, it's a different crew member. A crew member is coming down and rappelling down a big hole into the actual structure. And he is attacked by tentacle creatures, which I'm not even sure they show it on the front here. I'm not seeing it really anywhere, but that scene is our first one. It's not really spectacular in any sort of way. The effects are very poor in that scene, but for me, it is the death scene of Sid Haig's character. Because his entire character is basically a mercenary. He is named Quhod, I think. Quuuhod, I believe. And I'm trying to find his name on the back. Of course, they don't have his character's name, so oh well. His death scene is absolutely disgusting and is my worst nightmare. He is basically fighting an alien creature. He has these very special crystal ninja stars, basically, and he throws them at people. That's his unique characteristic, outside of him being Sid Haig. But he uses his ninja star to keep a door open at one point. I don't know how that works at all, but he is able to keep the door open just long enough for everyone to go into the temple, and then it shatters. And he's able to leave the temple about 20 minutes later in the runtime. And when he leaves, the shattered crystal ninja stars form back together. And so he goes to pick it up, and it somehow has now acquired a consciousness, I guess, and it attacks him. And first, it stabs into his palm, and it cuts its way under the skin, and you can see it going down its arm, or his arm, just under the skin. And I don't know how they did that effect, because it looks really freaking good, but he cuts his own arm off somehow with just a knife. He just cuts his arm off. I don't know how realistic that is, but he cuts his arm off, and then the knife, because it's two shattered ninja stars. So the first one's still in his arm, and the other one hits him right in the heart and kills him. And then I think one of our other characters just kind of shows up later and is like, oh, that's weird, and burns it because it is now rotting and lots of maggots are on it. But One behind the scenes thing that I found out about, because on this really bizarre release, um, lately I've been really kind of frustrated with Scream Factory because they don't have subtitles for a lot of their releases. I watched Rock and Roll High School recently, they didn't have it for that. I watched this movie, Galaxy of Terror, it didn't have any subtitles, but technically it did have subtitles. But you had to turn on the on screen movie trivia special feature in order to get the subtitles. But the issue with the trivia screen is that it's all text, and it's this giant box about this big covering your screen. So it's covering like half of your screen, and you can't see it. And in between those trivia title cards, I guess, they have the subtitles playing. And there's no way to just keep the subtitles going. But while I was watching the movie in the beginning, they had a few trivia things. And I kept turning it off and turning it back on accident because I was trying to turn on the subtitles, but it was actually turning on the trivia. And during one of those trivia title cards, they talked about how this is where James Cameron got his start in movie making, is that he was one of the production designers for this film, which I now understand why he did the sequel to Alien, because he nailed it in terms of making a really great looking alien-esque sets for the film. We have your long sci-fi hallways. You have the costuming looks exactly like the ones in Alien. The pyramid looks convincing because it's supposed to be this mega structure, but obviously there's not much money in a Roger Corman production. So the way that they were able to do that was just really kind of shocking how well it turned out. But that was just really interesting that James Cameron had a part in this as a production designer, because I didn't know anything about that. I knew he had worked on something early on. I did not realize it was a Roger Corman production that he worked on, though, because Roger Corman has started many people's careers in America, with Jack Nicholson, to start putting him in, to I can't remember the film, but if you watch any interviews or documentaries about Roger Corman, you will learn that Jack Nicholson was in a very early film of the Roger Corman films, because I think he's now in his 90s, I believe, Jack Nicholson, like something ridiculous. I did not realize he was that old, but and Roger Corman too, I think is 92, I think, and he is just knocking it out of the park. I need to know what potions he drinks to withstand age, because he looks really fucking good for his age. But they have a thing on the back. He introduced people to Francis Ford Coppola, got him involved with his productions. Jonathan Demme, who directed Silence of the Lambs, if you didn't know, and Martin Scorsese, which I am shocked to hear about, but I don't know anything about that, the Martin Scorsese part, because I did not know that Roger Corman started his career, Martin Scorsese's career. So very interesting. But I'm trying to think anything else. This movie is very just okay. This movie is good, but I wouldn't say it's worth a rewatch. I mean, it's fun to see Sid Haig, Grace Zabriskie, and Robert Englund all in one film, because they are part of the cult film sphere, I guess, but they never really appeared on screen together. So to see all three of them together in this film before they all got huge. I mean, Sid Haig was basically the most popular and most well known of the actors in this film, but The other two were phenomenal, and there's Grace Zabriskie as a captain. I don't know if I said that, but she's great. Her death scene is really bizarre, and you can see the low quality special effects in her death scene, and it's wonderful. This movie is short. It is 82 minutes, I believe. 81 minutes. So this is a very short film. It's right there at the limit of being a feature length production. I believe it's an hour and 15 minutes is the minimum in order to be classified as a feature length film, according to the Cannes Film Festival, I believe. I can't remember who exactly denotes that, but it's fun. It would be a good time with friends. If you guys are drinking, if you're a fan of Sid Haig, Robert Englund, or Grace Zabriskie, it's fun to see her in a non-Twin Peaks role, because I haven't seen her in really anything except Twin Peaks. So that is all for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and comment. Let me know what you think. Thank you all again.